The Hag. Chapter 1. Operation Market Town. Year 2009. Date, the 20th of June. Location, the Fox's Head, Ashwell, UK. Mission, extraction. It's been 4 months since I left the army, and I'm already starting to feel like a stranger in my own town. Everyone seems so content with their lives, but I'm struggling to find my place in the world. The only jobs I can get are menial tasks that barely pay enough to put food on the table. It's not like the army, where you knew exactly what you had to do and when. Out here in the real world, it's all just chaos. Sometimes I find myself wandering the streets at night, just like I used to do in Iraq. It's quiet here, but it's not peaceful. The silence is just a reminder of how alone I am. I'm always on edge, always looking over my shoulder. I can't shake the feeling that something bad is going to happen. I've started reading more news articles lately. Mainstream media doesn't tell the whole story, so I've turned to alternative sources to get a better understanding of what's going on. I can't help but feel like the world is getting worse every day. The politicians are corrupt, the borders are porous, and the people are complacent. It's like they don't see the danger that's looming over us. I found some like-minded people online, and we've been discussing our views on the state of the world. It feels good to have a community, even if it's only online. We share articles, memes, and videos that support our beliefs. We're not afraid to speak our minds, even if it goes against the mainstream narrative. But I have to be careful. I don't want anyone to know what I really think. I don't want to be labeled a bigot or a racist. I know I'm not, but people jump to conclusions these days. So I keep my opinions to myself, and I wear a mask when I'm out in public. I act like everything's okay, even though it's not. Today I'm sitting in a pub nursing a warm pint of ale. It's early in the afternoon, and there are only a few other patrons here. My phone buzzes in my pocket, and I take it out to check the message. It's from my fiancée, Sarah. She's asking if I can pick up our son Alex from daycare. I tell her I will, but I can't help feeling a sense of dread. I love Alex, but being a father is harder than I thought it would be. I don't know how to connect with him sometimes. He's so young, and he doesn't understand what I went through in Iraq. I don't want to scare him. Maybe one day things will get better. Maybe one day I'll connect with him and find my place in this world. But for now, I'll just keep wearing my mask and hope that nobody sees through it. This young lad walking towards my table certainly hadn't. I clocked him before I even sat down and expected him to kick off at some stage during my quick afternoon drink. No more than 18. Heard him before I got in the door, shouting his mouth off about kicking some Polish bloke's head in the night before. Sitting down, I don't look like I'm 6'4" tall. In this lad's drunken confidence, and in his mind, he was about to mug me off and look big in front of his friends. The problem with that is I'd chosen my seat based on which window I was going to put him through. It was a 5-minute sprint to the school, and there's no CCTV down the back alleys. I always made a plan when entering a building in case it kicked off. And as I anticipated, he chuckled, "Oi, Baldy!" I'd stood up and grabbed him before he could finish saying it. He looked in disbelief as he went over my shoulder and straight through the window. A shame, because it was one of those nice stained glass windows, original from the 1800s. A rarity in pubs even back in 2009. I jumped out after him and gave him one good boot to the ribs and legged it. As I sprinted down the back alley, my heart was racing. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was back in Iraq, running through the streets trying to avoid enemy fire. The adrenaline was pumping through my veins, and I could feel my training kicking in. I darted into a nearby garden, taking cover behind a bush. I crouched down and caught my breath, listening for any signs of pursuit. The silence was eerie, and I could hear my heart pounding in my chest. I peered out from my hiding spot and scanned the area. The coast seemed clear, but I knew I couldn't let my guard down. I pushed off from the ground and took off towards the next house, using every ounce of training to stay low and stay undetected. As I made my way through the gardens and back alleys, I felt like a ghost that was trained to kill. But I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about my son Alex and getting to him as fast as I could. I rounded a corner and saw the nursery up ahead. I slowed down and took a deep breath, trying to calm my nerves. I knew I had to keep my cool and act normal. I walked into the school, scanning the faces of the parents and teachers. I spotted Alex's teacher and walked over to her. "Hi, I'm here to pick up my son Alex," I said, trying to sound as casual as possible, but obviously trying to catch my breath still. She sort of smiled and frowned at the same time and pointed me in the direction of the classroom. I walked down the hallway feeling a sense of relief wash over me. I had made it. I was here to pick up my son. As I walked into the classroom, I saw Alex's face light up. He ran over to me and gave me a big hug. "Daddy!" he exclaimed. I picked him up and hugged him tightly. For a moment, all of the chaos and violence melted away. It was just me and my son, safe and sound. But I knew that feeling wouldn't last long. I had to get us both out of here and fast. I quickly said goodbye to Alex's teacher and made my way back to the back alleys. I had to keep moving, keep my head down, and keep my son safe. Later that night, we sat eating dinner while the news was on the TV, and they were discussing the legality of the Iraq War. It was a topic that hit close to home, and I found myself listening intently. As Sarah expressed her opinion on the matter, I couldn't help but feel a sense of frustration. With all respect, she didn't understand war or politics. Neither did I, to much of a degree, only how to survive war and ignore politicians from now on. We were soldiers just following orders. We didn't have a say in the decision to go to war. And now, years later, people were questioning its legality. It didn't make sense to me. Sarah thought it should all be forgotten. And to me that was shocking, and I couldn't tell her. I knew she hadn't seen it, felt it, smelt it, loved it, or regretted it. She had only seen it on the news. And when I watch the news, it seems more and more like I should never have been there either. After a few hours watching TV, I had nodded off after Sarah put Alex to bed. I woke up and looked around. The TV was playing the newsreels again. I lay there for a moment thinking about getting up and going to bed. But as I tried to reach the remote to switch the TV off, I couldn't move. I felt paralyzed for a few seconds. My heart rate started increasing, almost coming to an audible thump. My vision was becoming blurry and I saw the shape of a figure in the doorway. It hobbled towards me at incredible speed before looming over me, and then I could move. I blinked and could clearly see Sarah stood by my side, the TV off. "Are you coming to bed?" she whispered. "I'm going to hell," I said. She asked me what I meant and I passed it off as if I was still half asleep. We went to bed and that night was fine after that. But I had no idea this was my entry into the gates of hell, and things from here on out were going to race downwards for all of us.